again, Mistaken Raven, and I am here with a special guest.
Hi, I'm ATrapper. I'm the guy responsible for the new Nidarian Reef boss dungeon, as well as some of the more recent ST sets and a little bit of artwork for the Magic Woods.
Nice. What amount of artwork have you done for the Magic Woods, actually?
I made the main enemies, the main fairies found throughout the dungeon. So it was technically 3 sprites, but I like to say that it was around 50.
So did you do any of the mechanics, or did you just do the sprite work?
Well, no, the mechanics were all toasters. They were
all gotcha.
It was great. It's great. Yeah.
If you somehow stumbled upon us without knowing what Realm is, Realm of the Mad God is a permadeath MMORPG RNG-based game. And this guy is one of the head developers, so it's very nice to have him on for the second episode.
Hey, I'm very happy to be here and sort of discuss everything that's going into the game.
Now for that news, guys. So we have patch 27 point something or other, and that's what we're going to be discussing here in a second. Just a bit of overview for what we're doing. We got a pet wardrobe. We got the yellowing. Basically, all white stars turning to yellow. We got feeding pet mechanic, and we got Nidarian Reef, or Nidarian Reef, whatever you want to say. Also, Craig opens all boss dungeons, summer mystery shards, and fame rework coming up, along with the ST set, which he can tell us about because I know absolutely nothing about it. So the new pet wardrobe came out, along with a bunch of controversy. Seems all players enjoy being able to pop all their pet stones and being able to switch whenever they want to, but the cost of switching pet stones is a bit too high for some people. 200 within family, and 1,000 fame switching out of family. It's not exactly a cheap price for a pet stone that you achieved. Another controversial point is the size of the pets. Common pets are reduced to maybe 2 pixels, with only divine pets remaining the regular big boy size. Now, did you have any part in making these changes?
No, this one was handled by, I believe, Random SXD and the other Deca employees. As a user-generated content worker, I'm not paid, I'm not employed by Deca. I just help out with content that goes into the game, so dungeons and stuff.
See, I haven't seen, a bunch of your name around, but I know that you've developed a lot of the stuff. How do they give credit to you, or do they give credit to you?
Well, it depends on what the content is. If it's a dungeon, obviously you get your name on the key, Lost Halls has 80 different credits. But if it's the ST sets, which is another thing I worked a lot on, you do get some credit if it's with a dungeon like the Nest. For the Hollow King Necro set, Crathen, I believe, mentioned my name and Dappertron's name because he did the art in the update post. So we do get credit, yes.
But you don't get paid, as you said, so are you satisfied with what you do, or would you rather get paid for it?
Obviously, I'd rather get paid for everything. But basically, they pay you in skins, keys, and items. So,
do you get all the stuff that you make?
If you're a dungeon lead, you get all of the items found in your dungeon, plus 50 keys. So if you're doing an endgame dungeon, that's $100 worth of keys right there.
So,
and you also get a couple exclusive skins.
Oh, okay. So, if you develop one part, you get everything, or is it scaled? How does that scale?
It's basically how you go about making dungeons is you have one guy that's the lead on it, one guy that sort of leads the whole thing through, works on most of the XML, etc. Right. And that's the one that gets the 50 keys. All the other contributors get 10 keys plus one item of their choosing.
Gotcha. So what are some examples of some of the unique skins that you get?
Well, we have a couple skins, I believe, made by Beige that you just get automatically if you make a dungeon. I think if you ever go on Kid Force or Toaster's Realm page, you'll see that they use the dungeon creator skins, and those are the skins you get.
Gotcha. So, other than that, were you the first person to get a white bag in there then? Because you get all the items.
I still haven't gotten one, actually.
What?
Unless you count testing, where
I'm talking about, you said that you got all of the items. Did you also...
Well, no. I mean, Deca gives you the items. It's not an immediate thing. They take a little while to deliver them.
Oh, but, okay.
Yeah, they do eventually give you all the items.
The controversy behind the pet wardrobe, of course, the price of everything, and you also got
Mhm.
the reduced size. So what's your opinion on like reducing the size and everything?
Okay, so this is a controversial opinion. Like you said, it's a very controversial subject, but I honestly don't mind the size reduction that much because it doesn't affect gameplay. If this was something where your pets got nerfed, that would be a different story. But
Yeah,
the aesthetics are not the biggest concern to me. Still, I think it would be nice if the pets were a bit larger aside from the divines. And
right.
I still think it's nice to not have massive married skins running around everywhere.
Right. My main problem with it is that they say that they scale with rarity, but
Mhm.
rarity doesn't actually scale
Right.
because you cannot see the difference between common and uncommon and
I
rare
don't think there
at
is a
all.
common. I don't think there's a difference between common and uncommon, and rare and legendary. I
Okay,
think it
so it's
goes up
only a
whenever
difference
your pet
between
evolves.
legendary and divine.
Legendary and divine has a difference, and uncommon and rare have a difference. I think. Don't quote me on
I
that.
mean, my pet looks a bit larger than the uncommon ones, but even then, because I'm a scrub with a rare pet, but even then, it's not that big,
Right.
so it's kind of strange.
I agree that the scaling could be done a little bit better, but overall, I mean, it's definitely something that could be changed, but it's not like a huge issue in my opinion.
Right. On the subject of pet wardrobe, it's going back to the fame costs. So you
Oh yeah.
have you have like 200 within family, 1,000 fame switching out of the family. Now, my opinion on is that you should, if it's in the family, you should just be able to do it for free. But if it's
Mhm.
out of the family, I understand the cost, but 1,000 still seems a bit much for me. What about you?
Well, okay. So, in my opinion, I think that you shouldn't have to pay to change within the family, but I understand why they went through with it. Previously, before the pet wardrobe, if you used a pet skin, you used it. It's gone. You can't ever switch away from it or you'll lose the skin forever. But now you can switch whenever you'd like, given you have the currency to do so. Now, changing between different families, I think there definitely should be a cost on that, and I think 1,000 fame really isn't that bad for something like that because it's not something you're going to be doing very often.
Right, right. Yeah, I'd rather see it like lowered to 500 at least because again, as I
Mhm.
mentioned, fame is not something that should be used for aesthetics, I don't think. Unless like we do a total fame overhaul, which we're going to get to
Oh
later
yeah.
here because Deca's been mentioning stuff about a fame overhaul and stuff like that, but right now fame is purely used for pets and aesthetics, but if we're going to use fame, I wish that we would just use it all around. Yeah, I wish it would be lowered. But on the topic of fame, classes got a new change. Whenever you go into the class selection thing, you can see starter gear levels, stuff like that, I believe. Is that right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell us about it.
Well, there's not much to say other than I'm very happy with the change. It looks great. It just looks more appealing to new players. So I feel like that could get some newer people into the game, which that's very nice. We want as many players playing as possible. And I'm just pretty happy with it in general.
Did you have any did you work on it at all or
No.
no, okay.
Yeah. I don't work on the UI things typically. That's what Deca takes care of.
Right, okay.
But yeah.
So in there you can see your starter gear, you can see your class quests, and you can see
Mhm.
best fame, best level, which doesn't matter, and class unlocks. Class quests, that's something to talk about. Recently, the Deca decided to add quadruple question marks to the game, but didn't allow people to get the stars for it because it's
Mhm.
locked and you can't play it right now. So that means that everyone has gone down 5 stars, which means white
Mhm.
stars are no longer white stars, they're yellow stars, and that's called in the community the yellowing. So, what is your opinion on that, bud?
Okay, so the yellowing. Personally, it didn't affect me. I just barely hit the cutoff for yellow star, 60 stars. So, I mean, this is going to sound selfish, but I don't care that much. but it's a temporary thing and it's purely aesthetic. So
Yeah, but I
don't
mean,
think
it's a whole nother month until Month of Mad God. That's a whole
Oh, I
month
know.
of
I
Yellow
agree.
Star.
Hey, I don't. Hey, like I said, if this were, and I said the same thing with the pets. If this were a gameplay affecting thing, then I would be very I would be livid. I'd be angry with this. But it's just a yellow star. I think that as soon as the new class comes out, we're gonna get white stars within the first 3 hours, 4 hours.
Right.
So
Especially
people
with
really want it.
especially with the reef,
Yeah.
given so much fame, stuff like that. So another thing, feeding pet mechanic that goes with a
Mhm.
pet wardrobe UI, and that I love. You can feed multiple
Oh,
things
yeah.
now at the same time, so you don't
Mhm.
have to like X out every single time you want to feed, or like if you want to do it fast, you don't have to X out. You just click everything and you hit feed, and it feeds it all.
Mhm.
And I think that is a really big step for like just quality of life. That sounds
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of stupid, but
Oh no, no,
it's a big
yeah.
step for quality of life in the game. What kind of pet do you have actually?
I have a legendary, and I think it's a little under 80 for the first stat. Yeah, it's pretty much just a rare plus. We'll call it that. It's a
Okay,
rare plus.
is it heal magic heal?
Magic heal, actually.
Is
It's the
it
other way around.
what's the
Yeah.
last stat?
I think it's attack mid.
Oof.
So, hey, I don't care. As long as it's not electric, because I don't want to mess up tombs.
Right. I mean, I kind of like electric pets better because I don't
Oh
do
yeah.
tombs a lot. I only do Lost Halls for life
Oh
because
yeah.
it gives so much, and it's also gives some amazing white bags, stuff like that. Actually, on the topic of Lost Halls, were you involved in that at all?
Okay, so I wasn't, but at first I was going to try and help out with the ST set because that was like my first task as a UGC worker to
Right.
work on some ST sets.
So you became a UGC worker around the time that Lost Halls was being released.
I became a UGC worker in May of 2017, so about 3 or 4 months before. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, so you were working on the ST set. What else? Did you do anything else other than work on the ST set?
Well, I didn't actually work on the ST set.
Oh,
That
okay.
was in the end. I think Kid Force had a couple ideas for it, so I just let him take the reins on that, and I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. So
Now we're on to dungeons. Let's talk about the
Ooh.
reef. You got the reef,
Get
which is your main job, the thing that you're mainly being recognized for right now, because
Yep.
the reef is of course, it's a new dungeon. People aren't used to new dungeons, and people aren't used to the creators actually doing something with the game. And the reef is a big step forward with
Yeah.
releasing new, like mid-tier dungeons. What was your job in the reef?
My job was essentially to design the entire fight, figure out what shots go where, how this works, how that works.
So you did a
I
lot of
wrote all the
mechanic
code for
things.
it. Yeah, I did all the mechanics. Yes.
Oh, okay.
But I did discuss a lot of it with Fops, who did the art for it. But ultimately, I was the one with the creative control, with the dungeon design.
Well, are you satisfied with your work? Like, what would you change if you could, or stuff like
Okay,
that?
for the most part, I'm very satisfied. But, and a lot of people have suggested this, if I could go back and change anything, it would be making the oval shots pierce. Because
Yeah, like the rotation phase, or
Yeah.
and like the beginning phase where he just shoots those at you.
I've seen so many videos, so many of people just standing in one place. I
If
think
you
it
were in
was,
any of the EDZ runs, Epic
Oh,
Dungeons
man.
made by Peach, we had around 100 people on the first day running them for I think like 8 or 9 hours. 100
Oh my
people
God.
for those 8 or 9 hours, and we had like 15 priests, and everyone would just stand in the same place, and like there would be 3 people going around killing the oranges, and no one would do anything except for turn on their auto fire and sit there. They should make it piercing.
Yeah, that and maybe one other small change. It's something people wouldn't even really notice. Some tiny change. That's all I'd change with it. I'm almost completely happy with it.
So nothing else aside from the piercing. You can't think of anything else.
Nothing substantial, no.
Okay. So did they contact you about making it an event?
No, but I kind of realized, if I'm making a dungeon and it's possible to make it with a chest event, then it'll have one. And I really don't mind that much, It's just
Yeah.
more loot, more incentive for people to run the dungeon. Yeah, I'm fine with
Win Lost Halls event, honestly.
Oh, God. I'll pass on that one.
Quadruple void, yeah.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Isn't that just the final phase?
No, I'm talking about like 4 voids
Oh,
that split
so
into
would that be
4
like
each,
16
which would be
void
16 void entities.
Yeah. Oh, man. We need that now. I'll make sure it happens.
So who else worked on the reef with you?
Okay, so worked on it. Like the actual work was just myself and Fops, but I did get a lot of help from Creighton, who actually he implemented the functionality to allow me to use the poison to make the poison spawn the little entity. Kid Force gave me a lot of help with writing the XML code for it.
Right. So now, this is something I absolutely love. Craig opens all of the boss dungeons except for ice tombs because no one likes ice tombs. And from left to right, it goes Encore, Shaitan's Reef. And I think that's pretty cool because it actually does that now. And you don't have to like hope that you get an Encore or hope that you get a Reef.
Yeah.
And so did you have any part in that? Question mark?
I didn't and did at the same time. I think they were planning on doing something like that for a while, but with Reef releasing, it was just the logically perfect time to go through with it. So
Right.
yeah.
We have a quest animation. Now that's some beautiful stuff right there.
I love that.
Whenever you get into a realm or you get a new quest, it'll kind of like expand itself on the screen, show you it, and I think that's pretty cool because you actually get to see the quest and you don't just like have to squint your eyes looking at the top and you understand what your quest is. So like a lot of the time I've missed event bosses because or realm event things because I haven't been able to see the thing because I've been too focused on grinding. But whenever it blows up in front of your screen and shows you that you have 13 Ents left to kill before you go to Horix, that's pretty good.
Yeah. My only concern with it, and this goes for the pot display as well, I wish it was toggleable because I'm sure there are some people that aren't exactly interested in it, that don't exactly like it. But I mean, I like it personally. Same thing with the pots. I think it looks great and it feels great to just have it there.
Yeah, so the pot display basically is you got red and blue pots, HP and MP pots at the bottom, and it now tells you out of 6, and it gives it like green, orange, or red based on how much you have. So like if you have 2, I think it's red. If you have 3, it's yellow. If you have 5 or 6, it's green. And that's just kind of showing you how many pots or how good you are in terms of pots.
Or how good you are in terms of skill.
Oh yeah, dude. You gotta have if you have 6 HP pots, everyone knows that you never have to heal.
Oh, of course, right. Oh man.
And the last thing we have here is interaction keys. Like interact keys works for the pet yard. So like mine is V because my Nexus key is Z. Don't yell at me.
No, but I will give you a strongly worded monologue later.
So you can now walk up to your pet and you can hit your interact key and it'll follow you finally. You can go to the pet yard and you can use your interact key and it'll, like for the caretaker, if you use your interact key on him, it'll open the menu. Didn't do that before with your feeding thing. It opens up that menu too. And that's just kind of something I've always wanted. I've always wanted to walk up to the terminal and hit my interact key and be able to just feed my pet without having to X out and then hit enter every single time.
I was actually unaware of that. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Really?
So hearing that now, that's actually very nice. You know?
But, they still don't have interact key on the guild renounce thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I tested that out, and they don't have it on the guild renounce thing. Kind of makes me sad.
Are you thinking about leaving?
No, I actually just joined Mad Peach's Guild Peaches. We got Summer Mystery Shards up next, which basically are just July shards or June shards, but renamed, which is a design choice with the mystery boxes. If you mess up on the mystery boxes, then you, or not mess up, but if you don't get anything on the mystery box, then you get the shard, and the shard will allow you to buy skins, epic skins, legendary skins, stuff like that. So that's pretty cool. Did you have any work in designing any of that?
No, I didn't, but that's kind of a common theme with these answers. But with my work, it's mainly just content that goes into the game, like dungeons and items, some art. I'm a huge fan of it either way. I think that it's a great mechanic, and it gives people a second chance to get some items, and I'm all for that.
So, and after that, we have Fame rework coming up soon, guys, which means that you're finally going to be able to get all... What does Fame rework do, actually? Tell me.
I don't know if anything's been finalized yet, but I think the major goal of it is to just make everything sort of balanced all around.
Is Fame training going to die?
I honestly don't. Like I said, nothing's finalized yet, so I don't know if I could give a good answer on that.
All right. Well, something that's changed right now is I think XP levels, you can only get up to like 10% or... I don't know how it works. All I know is that it's changed a bit and it's made it harder or easier. I forget what.
Harder to level up, sure, but I think that's really fine. If that's laying the groundworks for an overall Fame rework that does more good than harm, I'm fine with it.
I've heard a lot about the Fame rework also coming with adding Fame back as a large part of the game, meaning that you may be able to buy some stuff in the Nexus with Fame again. I don't know about that yet, but I've heard some theories around going out there, and that's just I think that'd be pretty cool if we finally get buying things with Fame back.
Yeah. Another thing is, like, I'm pretty in the dark on this as well, but if you can purchase things with Fame again, that's awesome. I'm all for that.
Well. Yeah, because again, microtransactions kind of annoying and kind of money grabby, but whatever. I mean, as long as if we do get a Fame rework, that's awesome. But if we don't, then that's okay, I guess, because we've lived with it for like 6 or more years. 6 years, yeah. And it's just kind of something we've got used to. Of course, accepting mediocrity isn't great, but if we do get a Fame rework, that'd be pretty dang amazing. And the next thing that you can talk to us about is the Assassin ST set. This thing I know absolutely nothing about, and I'm pretty sure you know stuff about, so tell me about it.
Well, I was actually the guy that originally worked on it. I was the one that started development on it.
Did you come up with the idea?
For some of it. My main plan with it was to go the same route as the Hollow King set. Like, go all in on attack, all in on attacking power, but sort of take away in your other aspect.
Right, okay. So, like, would it be a glass cannon, basically?
Yeah, but it's also where the Hollow King set's a bit easier to use if you're a newer player. You need a decent amount of skill to use this set. So, for instance, first off, all the items take away Vit. So, if you get hit, you're going to have to wait a little bit to regen.
So what's the poison like? Like, of course, that's the question that everyone's going to ask is what's the poison like?
It has a low radius. Its damage is a little bit lower, but it curses enemy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
3 seconds. So there's that, and the dagger, actually. It has insanely high DPS. Like, very, very high DPS.
Does it have, like, boosted dexterity, or?
It has a higher rate of fire, higher damage, actually.
Is it like Obsidian Dagger higher?
Oh man, it's like it's almost as good as the Poison Fang Dagger.
Oh man, yes.
No, in all seriousness, the damage is actually kind of close to Aetheryte. It's that powerful.
Wow.
Yeah, and the range is as high as a tiered daggers, but its projectile speed is very low, so it's difficult to hit with.
Gotcha. So, is it like an ASS, sort of?
Like
the projectile speed.
I mean,
doesn't ASS have low projectile speed?
It does, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of like that, but I think it's actually a little bit slower than that.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of like you're just shooting this laser beam out, so it's difficult to hit moving targets with it. But if a target's stationary, then it's very, very, very good. Like,
Yeah, so
nearly
like
overpowered.
like in the first two phases of Marble Colossus,
Yeah.
that'd be pretty good. Or like in Void, whenever he goes into the middle and then you just shoot him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that being pretty darn good. What about the ring? Everybody knows that rings have been notoriously terrible.
Well, this one gives you, I believe it's 100 mana points, 5 attack, and 5 wisdom, and it takes away 2 vitality. So,
Okay, so it's like a gemstone, but not.
yeah, it's kind of like a gemstone or a sphinx, even, but it's pretty good in my opinion.
Okay,
Obviously,
now
I'm
tell
the
me.
creator, but yeah,
You might be a
good.
bit biased, right?
Yeah.
So tell me where it drops from.
Okay. The drops I don't believe are final, but I planned for it to drop from Parasite Chambers because
Ooh, okay.
that's perfect. You have an assassin, Parasite Chambers.
Right,
hand
right,
in
right.
hand.
And of course, parasite chambers are notorious for doing some really high damage, and this is
Oh,
a
yeah.
DPS based set, so that kind of goes within the theme. So
Mhm.
that's pretty good.
I think there are going to be some more changes, and I also want to say this: the set's current stats were not the original. It went through a lot of iterations with some help from Silex and other people within the UGC and testing groups. For the most part, I'm pretty happy with it as of now, but I think they definitely do want to do some tuning to it, make it a little more balanced.
Right, right.
And- Yep.
Well, that was the last patches and a bit extra. That was the news updates. So now we're going to move on to another section, which is more of a personal interview stuff. And the first question on here is, why did you decide to become a UGC worker?
Okay, so this goes back to Kabam era. I think it actually started with this absolutely horrendous idea I had for a dungeon to drop from liches. It had horrible art, horrible design, all that, but I kept with it, started making some items because it was easier, and eventually made some dungeon documents, like ideas, for the
Right.
game.
Right.
From there, I just kept going, and I made a pretty huge document. I think it was around 80 or 90 pages, maybe even 100. It was called Obsidian Summit, and that was what got the attention of specifically Random SXD, who, well, Mizram was still the GM at the time, like the guy that was running the whole game at the time. So he contacted me through Reddit and said, "Hey, you want to join UGC?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, I'll be able to put my stuff in game. Sure." And now we're here.
So it was more of like, that was your main motivation behind you doing UGC.
Well, back in the Kabam era, there wasn't anything like UGC, so I was just hoping it would go the route of the Shatters and be implemented by Kabam.
Right.
But that was mainly my big goal whenever I released Obsidian Summit, because I
Is to
believe
join
that was
the
after
UGC
Source.
team.
Yeah.
What's the process you go through whenever designing the dungeons that you talk about? Like,
Well,
what's your thought process? What do you go through? Of course, I'm guessing it's a more creative process along with practical. Who do you look for to help you?
Okay, so the process, I'll start with design documents first. Typically, I go in with a specific mindset. How do I want this dungeon to feel? For instance, a document that I was going to work on with Toasters and Dappertron a while back before all three of us made it into the UGC group. It was going to be a mineshaft dungeon with some miners, some different types of golems walking around.
Right.
And I went into the design process thinking, okay, how do I want to make this? Do I want to make this a dungeon with tons of enemies? Do I want to make it a boss dungeon kind of like the Shatters? Or do I want to make it just a straight up Court of Oryx dungeon? And I went in with the mentality, okay, the majority of this dungeon is going to be just enemy encounters. Fight some enemies, make it to the boss. Very standard for Realm. Then you go into the specific enemy groups and the specific enemies themselves and try to figure out how they'll coordinate with each other. So,
Right.
for instance, the miner group, I believe, had an enemy that fired a slowing bomb, an enemy that rushed you and stunned you, and an enemy that did a ton of damage and rushed you.
Yeah.
They kind of work with each other.
So
But,
is that something that, by the way, is that dungeon something that may be coming out anytime?
No. We
No?
dropped the project.
Oh,
Nope.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was something that was going to come out, I wouldn't say anything about it.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you look for people to help you before you start doing the dungeon, or do you look while designing the dungeon?
Well, it depends. If I need people to help me with actually designing it, like the mechanics and stuff like that, I'll look beforehand. And if it's for art and stuff like that, I'll look during the process.
Right.
So my most recent design document, this was released with another UGC artist, Pigby, after we were both in the UGC group. But we just released it as a dungeon document for the community to read. You know, it's not going to come out anytime soon. Originally, I was working on that myself, and then Pigby approached me and said, hey, you want some help with this? I don't have anything going on. I want something to do. I was like, heck yeah, sure. I suck at art. Let's do it. That actually helped him as well, because during that dungeon design process, that's what got him to be as good at art as he is now. You know, that's what got him to bring his style up in quality. Honestly, it really just depends what's going on with the dungeon design, how far I am in it, etc.
The question that anyone ever wants to know about a person is, how many event whites do you have? And if you don't have any, then you're bad at the game.
Okay, so I have one jug, too many ray katanas. Do you count quat?
Yeah.
Okay, 2 quats.
What?
I got 2 quats to... I'll actually talk about it. Okay, well, one of the quats... Oh my god, I had it on a 0-8 archer with a Devo, Sibo, and Sea-Silk, and I died in the Guardians to a Medusa bomb.
It sounds like your fault.
Oh, that was definitely my fault. I just lost all my characters when I died with that, so I'm like, whatever, I'm just putting all this on. I'm going into the Godlands, and I died.
Should have fed it.
Oh, I should have. Yeah. But I have a couple of them.
Do you have Cedric?
Sadly, no. I don't.
Well, on that topic, do you play Realm as consistently as you did before you did UGC?
Well, I've always been sort of in and out. You know, I don't play for long periods of time. Before UGC, I didn't play all the time because I had like 1 or 2 decently maxed characters.
Right.
But, you know, and then when Deca took over, I was able to use event chests and stuff like that to build my characters up. And now I have a couple 8/8s, you know.
Right.
So I really, personally, I don't have much of a reason to grind as of now, other than just fun and stuff like looking for certain white bags, because I've played through pretty much every character. But I do come back to the game a decent bit, so.
So do you have a lot of max characters right now?
Yes, I have, I think around 7 or 8 8/8 characters, actually 2 or 3 7/8 characters, and I believe that's it.
All right, cool. We actually got a question, and it's a great question. So this one was asked by Lightmare. The question is, why does the big jelly have such a massive schlong?
Oh my god. Okay. Do you want a serious answer?
Yeah, I want a serious answer.
Okay. I'll give 2 answers, actually.
Okay.
First answer. Well, we all know that the Royal Nidarian is a king, right?
Uh-huh.
And that's how these Nidarians assert dominance. It's based on schlong size.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like how realm players assert dominance. How many event whites do you have?
Yeah. Okay. No, in all seriousness, I think that was just how Fops made the art. But I like that first answer a lot more. It's just asserting dominance.
Yeah. Guys, remember, if you want to send in any questions for our next person is going to be a massive person in the community, helped with a lot of raiding stuff. So, guys, if you want to send in any questions about raid discords, stuff like that, make sure to send us a message at decadebrief@gmail.com. That is DECADEBRIEF@gmail.com. Thank you very much. And I need to talk about 3 discords, because we're getting sponsored in 2 of them. We have the Shatters Discord, owned by Mad Peach. We have EDZ, Epic Dungeons, run by Mad Peach. And we have LHZ, Lost Halls, run by Mad Peach. EDZ is a Discord that runs dungeons like reefs and just a whole bunch of assorted dungeons, and it's real fun, guys. I'm a leader in there. I do a lot of runs. Need some nest whites, that's where you need to go. Lost Halls is where you do Lost Halls, the Shatters. That's where you do, anything that you want to advertise, bud.
The one thing I really want to advertise is my own Discord, the Realm of the Mad God Ideas Discord. Now, I said that back whenever it was the Kabam era and early Deca era, I made a lot of dungeon design documents, some item ideas, stuff like that. That's basically what this Discord's for. It's a Discord where you can share your ideas, share your artwork, get some feedback from some really good people. Actually have a couple of the Deca developers in there.
Oh, nice. You have a lot of UGC developers in there.
Yes, we have, I believe, Kidforce is in there. Dappertron and Pigby are both moderators. Zachlor, who is a closed tester, is also a moderator in there.
All right, cool.
We have a ton of closed testers and UGC members in there, so if you want to make your stuff seen, this Discord is amazing.
All right, guys, that'll be down in the description on YouTube, so if you guys would, if you guys are listening on SoundCloud, just go ahead and head over to YouTube. And all of these servers, every single one of them will be down in the description, so make sure to check those out. They're very, very fun, and they're very useful if you need to farm some whites. Another announcement I have is we actually have a consistent schedule now. We'll be uploading every single Friday with a new interview. We're not doing the first episode layout anymore because that was just to get us started, but now we have interviews, stuff like that scheduled. Yeah, so we're going to be uploading every single Friday, guys. And guys, remember, you can contact us for any questions if you want to schedule an interview, stuff like that. Just a bit of an update here. The hotfix for piercing shots is now live. Fame for Sandarian Reef has been adjusted, and the beginner pack expiration date has now been removed. This means you can buy it any time, even if you hadn't bought it at the beginning, whenever you first started playing. This week on Shoutouts, we have a shoutout from the player Izzy III. She'd like to let Wagmuncher know that he's the best brother, Lightmare that he's the best raid leader, and King Zorgon that he's the best friend. Make sure to contact us at decadebrief@gmail.com. That is DECADEBRIEF@gmail.com. This podcast was written, voiced, and produced by Misty Raven, written and edited by CW Girl with help from Dr. Z/Erica Starr. The guest for this episode was ATrapper. And say bye, man.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys enjoy some reefs, get some great whites, and beware whenever the shots pierce, because you guys will need help.
Thanks for coming on, man. That was Deca Debrief, and see you all next week.